Hi everyone, welcome to Red Fox Sewing and Crafting, and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. So today we are going to make this cute little boy-girl album, and it's a really simple album you can make. It's got flaps in the front and the back that are magnetized, a little insert in each page, and then a couple pockets on the back of each page. So to start out, you will need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 6.5 by 8.5, and 1 piece of chipboard that is 2 by 6.5. Two pieces of cardstock that are 8.5 by 10.5. And 1 piece of cardstock that is 5 by 8.5. So I already did one of the covers. This is what it's gonna look like. Let me show you how to do it. So you're going to grab your 8.5 by 10.5 piece of cardstock, and I have score tape on the back of my chipboard here, and we are going to put our chipboard in the center of our cardstock, leaving an inch around all sides. I have a little ruler here, spacer, to help me get an even 1 inch on all of my sides. So I'm just going to put this right in the corner like so. And then I'll have my 1 inch on all 4 sides. For the 2 by 8, the 2 by 6.5 inch piece of chipboard, you will need to have an inch spacing on the top and the bottom, and then 1.5 on both sides. So I changed out my spacer for my spine spacer here, and I'm going to put my chipboard right in the center, just like that, using my spacer. So now both pieces are attached to our cardstock. So now I'm just going to fold the cardstock around the chipboard on all 4 sides of both pieces. And then I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to carefully run it along the edge of my chipboard on the side, on the cardstock side, so that I get a nice little edge. And I'm going to do that to both my pieces. So I'm going to start out with the spine piece. There is a corner that you made when you folded your cardstock around the chipboard. What you're going to do is cut from corner to corner on that little rectangle. So you want to cut this part out. And you're going to do that to all 4 corners. Once you're done, it's going to look like this. Now I'm going to use score tape throughout the making of this album. If you don't have any score tape or you don't like using score tape, that is totally fine. This is just what I like to do. Just going to add score tape to the 2 1-inch sides here of my cardstock. And then just going to move the backing of both to make it a little easier to do. Now I'm going to grab my glue. And what you want to do is run glue along the edge of the chipboard right next to the 1-inch side. And you want to do about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the sides and then the full short side. And then cover this whole 1-inch side with glue, just like this. Now, I'm going to grab my other little tool here, burnish it, my burnishing tool, and I'm just going to carefully stick this just on top of my chipboard with my fingers. And I'm going to grab my bone folder here and burnish really well, and then also burnish alongside my chipboard. Now I am getting glue seeping out from underneath my tab here, and that is perfectly fine. That is actually kind of what I want. So you can just grab a tissue or a rag or something to just clean that off, and we're just going to burnish these 2 corners really well, like so. And then we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Oops. And if you don't fully get it stuck together, it should be okay. Just try your best to get as much of it stuck down as you can. Now that I have my top and bottom stuck together, I'm going to flip it over to the other side, and I'm going to re-burnish my paper against my chipboard here. And then just grab some scissors, and you want to cut a very slight miter on all four edges from the corner of your chipboard out. And then your piece will look like this. If you're using score tape, now would be a good time to do this. You'll want pretty wide score tape. The widest, like, probably 1 inch would work really well. Just put your score tape down about a 16th to an 1/8 inch away, or yeah, 16th to an inch away from your chipboard edge. Just like this. See? The chipboard edge is right here, and then my score tape is about an 1/8 inch away. Because you don't want to see any score tape or glue or whatever adhesive you're using showing on that edge. So this is what my spine looks like right now. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and let's see. Things are falling. So, excuse me. We're going to be working on our 6.5 by 8.5. The corners on these pieces are going to be slightly different on how you cut them. So you still have the corners that you formed when you folded them, when you folded the cardstock around the chipboard. This time, we are going to cut out that corner, and then we're going to, after that, we're going to miter that edge. We're going to take these two little triangles off. So we're going to take this whole thing out, this whole corner out, and then these tiny little corners. So that's my square. I'm going to do that to all 4 corners. And then we're just going to cut off the little triangles from each cut corner, just like so. And once you are done, it should look like this. Gotta clean up my mat here. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to use score tape. I'm gonna add score tape to all 4 sides this time. And now I'm going to remove the backings of all 4 sides here. Now, when I make album covers, I like to start with the sides of my front and back cover and then do my top and bottom after that. So with this album, the sides are the 2 short sides. So what you want to do is we're just going to add a little bit of glue just to the edge of the chipboard, like so. And then take your burnishing tool here, run it along the edge of your cardstock, just like this. And then we're just going to push this down on the chipboard, and then I'm going right back along with my bone folder so that I know it's stuck down. Then we're going to go to the opposite side, our second short side, and we're going to do the same thing. Now, this is what it looks like. On the longer sides, on the top and bottom sides, what I'm going to do is add glue to these 2 corners here, and then along my chipboard. What the glue in the 2 corners does is help keep the cardstock glued down. Keeps the corners, the top corners, from coming up. I just find it makes it look a little bit more professional. So now all 4 edges are put down, and now I'm just gonna go to my 4 corners here to see if my cardstock is going to be peeking out from behind. And if it is, I will just carefully with my scissors just kind of cut a little bit off. But with this one, it looks pretty good. So I'm not going to do anything to it. Now we need to put this together. So I like using my scoreboard for this part. So I'm going to rotate it. Take my mat off really quick. And I'm going to start with one of my cover pieces. And to make sure that it sits on the table correctly when you put it up, you want to write top so that you know that this is the top of the album. We want to grab our spine here, and I just took the backing off my score tape, and I'm going to add glue on top of the score tape and along the edge of my cardstock. You do not want to go past your score tape where your chipboard edge is. Because again, you do not want to see any adhesive poking out from the spine of your album. So I have my adhesive on, and I'm just going to lift this tab up while pushing my front cover to this corner, and then push my spine against my front cover piece. And I'm just going to lightly place my tab down. I'm going to fold my spine over, and I'm going to see if the edges of my spine chipboard and my cover chipboard are lining up. And they are. So I'm going to lay it back down and burnish this tab down really good. So now my spine is attached to my cover front. I'm going to flip my scoreboard around again and do the same thing to my back cover. Got my adhesive on. Now I'm just going to push my back cover towards this corner here, and then push my spine against my back cover. And then I can stick this down carefully. And this one is looking pretty good. So I'm going to stick this down. And now I have a cover. Now, we need to add a piece of cardstock on top of our spine. That piece needs to be 6 3/8 by 6. And I'm just going to really quick add some score tape on top of this. And that's all gone. Put thankfully I'm getting more later. I'll just use this stuff in the meantime. That's okay. Oops. That all covered, and then I'm just going to remove all my score tape backings here. So I have all my score tape backings removed, and before we attach it to our album, we need to make sure that we have the 6 inches going side to side and the 6 3/8 going up and down. So I'm going to grab my album here. Cover this whole thing in glue. And then you want to center this as best as you can, top and bottom and sides. And then just burnish it really good. Then we're going to grab your bone folder, and you want to find where the spine and the cover meet, and just gently press down with your bone folder and slowly fold that closed. And our cover is fully complete. So now we can move on to our hinge. So I'm going to add some pattern paper to the inside spine before we attach the hinge, just so that when we get the hinge made, it could just go right on top. So I cut this piece to 2 inches by 6 3/8. I'm just going to add some glue to the back. And stick it right in the center. Just like that. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and we will need a piece for a hinge. That is 5 7/8 by 7 1/8. you want the 7 1/8 at the top. And we're going to score at 3/4, 1 1/2, 1 7/8, 2 5/8, 3 3 3/8. Yeah, 3 3/8. Had to make sure really quick. 3 3/4, 4 1/2, 5 1/4, 5 5/8, and 6 3/8. So we have hinge here, we have a space here, we have a hinge here, a space here, hinge here, space here, hinge here. Should be 3/4, 3/4, 3/8, 3/4, 3/4, 3/8, 3/4, 3/4, 3/8, 3/4, 3/4. And before we put this together, I'm going to take my scissors and cut a sliver off of both short ends. Just want a tiny sliver off. Like that much. Didn't cut very much off. Probably like a 1/16 of an inch. I'm gonna grab my trusty score tape here. I'm just gonna go across my hinge and add score tape to one side of each hinge. Now, I haven't folded anything yet. And there is a good reason to that. The way I'm about to show you, in my opinion, is probably the best way to do this, because then you get a really nice flat bottom. So I'm gonna add glue to hinge side that my score tape is on, and then I'm just going to fold this over just like so, and then burnish this down really good. Go to the next hinge. Gonna do the same thing. Add glue on top of my score tape. And then I'm just going to carefully put these two hinge sides together. Now, I can take this one, flatten it out, and I'm taking my nails and just running them across the bottom where my my score marks are, and just kind of burnishing them down really good. Then I'm just going to carefully rock back and forth. And then line this up line the bottom two sides of my hinge as best as I can. And then burnish. Flip this around and burnish the other side. And that gave me a nice flat surface. This one, these two ends, I'm going to leave at the end just to make it a little easier for me to work on the two inside hinges. So I'm going to go to this next one. Add glue. Fold this down evenly as possible. I'm going to burnish it really well, and then I can form my hinge here. And then my last hinge. Going to fold over really simply, burnish it down. Now I can just fold these hinges up, making sure that they're lining up with my other two hinges. And I don't have to worry about the bottom of these two lining up because we cut off a sliver of these two hinge sides. And that way there won't be any bumpy edges on either side. You'll get a nice, smooth, flat bottom. And I'm going to add score tape again on the bottom of my hinges. And before I add my hinge to my album cover, I'm going to add some score tape to the very top of both sides of each hinge. And this will help with attaching your pages when it's time to do so, because then you'll have a nice guide to where you want them to go, because you don't want your pages to go completely to the bottom of the hinges. You want space so that they can move. If you aren't using score tape, you can use a pencil and a ruler and just make a pencil mark where you want your line to be. That works really well too. Or if you don't really care too much, you could just eyeball it. I have tape on both sides of all 4 hinges. I have tape on my back. I am now ready to add this to my book, my album. This is 5 7/8, so it's going to be slightly over a slightly over 1/4 of an inch on both ends. And then it's going to be 3/8 on either side. So I have a ruler here. I'm going to remove the backings off of my score tape, the bottom score tapes. Add a little bit of glue. And then 3/8 from the side and slightly over 1/4 inch top and bottom. Move this over just a tad. Once you're happy with it, burnish it down really good. And now you have hinges. Now we can work on the 2 cover flaps. you will need 2 pieces that are 6 inches by 8 7/8. And we're going to score on the 8 7/8 inch side at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch on both pieces. Fold and burnish your scores. And we're going to miter the 2 corners. Score tape. And then we can add them to our cover. So you want to add the fold of your flap to the outside edge of your cover. So I have my flap right here. I have my cover piece. I'm going to center it on my mat. Probably a little bit closer here. Here we go. And then I'm going to stick it right in the center, just like so. I'm going to do the same thing to my other flap. And now I have both of my flaps on my cover. To keep these closed, I use magnets, and I used 1 pair on the front, 1 pair in the back. If you want to use more, you can. I just found that it works perfectly well with just 1 pair. So I'm going to grab some score tape here. I'm going to attach it to my flap first. I'm going to put it in like about an inch-ish, about an inch. And then I'm going to center it to top and bottom. And then just stick it down like that. And grab another piece of score tape. And I'm going to put the sticky side of this piece of score tape facing upward. Then I could just place my second magnet right on top like that. That score tape sticks to the magnet really well. And then you can close my flap here, stick the score tape on my cover, and now I have a nice flap. Now it is kind of floppy right now, but when you add paper to it, it will flatten out. Like I said, if you want to, you can add like 2 pairs or 3 pairs if you want. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side now. And there is the cover all finished with the flaps and the hinge. And now we have our pages to do. So I already made 3 of my pages here. Got the inserts and then the pages with the back pockets. I'm going to show you how to make them. So you will need 1 piece that is 6 by 11. One piece that is 8.5 by 6, 1 piece that is 8 by 6, 1 piece that is 3 3/4 by 7, and 1 piece that is 4 1/4 by 4. Now this is just for 1 page. You will need to make 4 pages for your album. We are going to start with the 6 by 11 inch piece of paper. This is cardstock. This is the insert to our pages. So it's going to be really easy. You want the 11 inches at the top, and we're just going to score right in half at 5.5. And then you can just fold this right down the center like so. And your insert is made. And we'll just set this off to the side. We have 2 pieces for the base page. We have the 6 by 8 and the 6 by 8.5. 6 by 8 we're not doing anything to. 6 by 8.5 you want to put in your scoreboard with the 8.5 at the top, and we are going to score at 1/2 inch. Fold and burnish. Going to miter the 2 corners. Add the score tape. And then you want your 6x8. So you want to add your adhesive to your tab. Just going to fold this over and then line it up with the edge of the 6x8. Oops. There we go. Just like so. Really easy. And that is your base page. We're going to stick it to our hinge right here, and then we're going to add glue to the bottom. And then last two pieces are our two pockets. So the first one is the 3 3/4 by 7. So starting with the 7 at the top, we're going to score it half, turn, score it half, turn, score it half. And then gotta remember. So we want the 4 1/4 at the top to start with. So score it half, turn, score it half, turn, half. Fold and burnish along all your score marks that you made. And then we're going to take our scissors, angle cut the top 2 corners, and then miter out the bottom 2 squares. Just like that. Again, miter the top 2 corners. And then angle cut the bottom 2 squares. Then I'm going to add score tape really quick to all my tabs. And now we want our base page. We're going to add our pockets to the open side. And we want to start with the larger one. There we go. Add some glue to your bottom tab, just your bottom tab right now. And we're going to line this up with the open edge, just like so. Then we have some Scotch tape here. Gonna take a piece and just place that right on top of my hinge, so that when I put something inside my pocket, it won't catch. And then I can put my two sides down. Like so. And then we have our small one. So starting with the bottom tab, gonna flip mine upside down here. Going to add this to the bottom of our larger pocket. Like so. Again, add a little bit of Scotch tape to the bottom of my pocket, and then we can stick down our two sides. And that's the pocket, or the pages, fully made. So now we can add our pages into our album, and we'll be fully done. So I'm going to start in the back and take off backing of the right side of my hinge here. And add a little bit of glue right on top of my score tape. I'm gonna grab one of my pages and I'm going to line it up. And you'll need to center it because the hinge is slightly smaller than the page. So just do your best to line it up. There. And then yeah, it's not lined up. Maybe that works. There we go, that's better. And then we're gonna flip to the other side. Going to add score tape or glue to the other side of our hinge and to the bottom of our page. And then just carefully stick the other side of your page down, making sure that the bottom sticks. You might have to coax it a little bit to actually want to stick. But once it does, it will look like this. And then you can add your inserts in the top, just like so. So now we can just add our other pages. And it'll be easier this time, because line this up a little bit as best you can, and then kind of make sure that also lines up with your page. And you might have to kind of go back and forth with doing this. Apparently I didn't get my pockets fully lined up. Just want to do your best to line everything up as best as you can. If it's not completely lined up, it's okay. You won't really totally notice once you get your pages, your pattern paper on. Just get it as close to lined up as you can get. And there you go. Complete album. Ready for your little boy or your little girl. So, I hope you liked making this along with me. If you did, please hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of this, hit subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye!